your whole hosts of friends here are running the campaign that people are just doing this because they dislike you. And if that's all that this is, don't you think it's a little risky to be sending emails between you and your lawyer to people?
When he got released and she met him here.
So the same day that he's released, he breaks his no contact order condition? That's what you're telling me, Tina? What is going on, everybody? It is Kmplxity with the lasting opinion. So the other day, LolCowQueens decided that they were going to go on a misinformation campaign. Now, whether they... no, they were just completely lying. So I figured I was not going to really cover it. My girlfriend was telling me about it and like some things here and there. But shout out to Cobb because he put a whole compilation together. I'm going to be dissecting and proving that what Tina says throughout this short video here are a lot of lies. So let's go ahead and get right into this.
But I don't know why y'all think it's privy to look up our shit. There's a lot of people that watch us. You could just imagine the charges that they have themselves. But the reason
that doesn't really do anything. I mean, this isn't a lie. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people who have charges throughout the LCU. Who the fuck knows? But that doesn't really make any sense as a defense. You shouldn't look into a possible domestic abuse case because you could have charges. You could have a police record. That doesn't... How exactly is that a defense? Hey, I know you got two black eyes, but have you ever thought that maybe people shouldn't look into supporting you or helping you or anything like that? Because they could have charges too. It just doesn't make any sense. But what she says here next is incredibly interesting.
The reason why it doesn't matter is because they're not a big name on YouTube. But I was there when Mike got released on his own recognizance. No.
So being there when somebody gets released on their own recognizance means absolutely jack shit.
There when Mike got released on his own recognizance. Nobody with a domestic violence get released on their own personal recognizance.
So, as Tina states, nobody would get released on their own personal recognizance with a domestic violence case. Wow. You know, a quick Google search will just bring you to any actual thing. So this here is from cdvlawyer.com. This is domestic case information. If you want to go ahead and check it out, James R. Snell Jr. This is an actual law office. So if anybody wants to go ahead and say, oh, you just pulled that off of a little forum, or, oh, you just typed it into Google. No, this is an actual law office, which can suffer major repercussions for putting out false information. So let's get down here. Domestic violence bond. Anyone charged with criminal domestic violence or criminal domestic violence of a high and aggravated nature is entitled to having a bond set after arrest. Bond set is typically conducted by a magistrate judge at a bond court, usually situated either inside or in close proximity to the jail. Bond court is typically held every day of the week, including weekends and holidays, which means that regardless if he got arrested on the 3rd, he could have got to court the very next day and still been released on his own recognizant bond. Now, here we're going to go down to the right to have a bond set in a criminal domestic violence case is established by Article I and 15 of South Carolina State Constitution and by South Carolina Code 17-15-10. And the initial bond setting, the magistrate is most particularly concerned with whether or not the defendant presents a risk of flight or whether they present a danger or threat to the community. The alleged victim will be provided with notice of the bond setting and may attend. If so, the judge will usually inquire if they feel the defendant presents a danger to them. As in, if they're choosing to release them on bond, there's obviously a couple of things that will make their decision for them. For instance, Mike was arrested for domestic violence in the 3rd degree. It is the lowest form of domestic violence, which can range anywhere from saying you're going to hurt somebody to actually hurting somebody, but not leaving certain things such as bruises or marks or breaking their fucking jaw. See, you can slap somebody in the state of South South Carolina. And as long as you don't really leave that bad of a mark, it's only going to be the 3rd degree, which means the maximum you could get for slapping your wife around, so long as she doesn't have any egregious markings, is 90 days in jail. Now, criminal domestic violent bonds may be either personal recognizance, meaning the defendant signs themselves out, or a cash bond. If a cash bond is set, the defendant or the family can post the amount with the court or hire a bail bondsman. If the defendant or their family owns real estate with no liens, there is also a procedure to use the value of the property to satisfy a cash bond, which basically means that they can levy the house, the car, the whatever to basically be your bond payment. So if you have $5,000 set as your bond, if you run a lien against your $20,000, $30,000 car, if you skip out on your bond, they take your car. That's how it works. But again, criminal domestic violence bonds may either be personal recognizance, as in you can be released on your own personal recognizance bond, even if you are arrested for domestic violence. In addition to setting a bond amount, a South Carolina bond court also has the authority to impose other restrictions. The most common for a criminal domestic violence case is that the defendant is to have no contact with the alleged victim. This can be imposed even in situations where the alleged victim specifically advises the court that they do not feel that the defendant is a threat and they wish to have continued contact. Which means if Bridget doesn't see Michael as a threat, she doesn't need to have a restraining order. Keep that in mind. If no contact or other bond provisions are violated, this can result in separate contempt charges, which can be punished by up to 30 days or more imprisonment in the jail. Which means on top of the 90 days that he could be serving in prison, if convicted, if this goes to trial, he could be added, he could have an additional 30 days if he breaks a no contact order. There are no exceptions in a standard no contact order for situations involving a shared residence, which means the fucking house could be on fire. And if Mike shows up with a no contact order against him, he can still go to jail. It's cut and dry. No buts, ifs, what's, who's it's, what's it's, me's it's, use it. Okay. One fish, two fish, three fish shit. Okay. It's literally in writing. Your own fucking state put these laws into effect for a goddamn reason. Now, let's get into his actual bond. Here we have the state of South Carolina versus Michael Robert Green. The case number is 2025-269076195. I didn't think it was going to take me that long. Court agency, Somerville Municipal Court, file date 408. So this is 5 days after he was charged with criminal domestic violence in the 3rd degree. Case type criminal, case subject criminal bond. All right. Status rescheduled, like he stated it was rescheduled. Assigned judge is James Lawrence Grover III. Date arrested was April 3rd, and then law enforcement case 25022-036. Now, does that number seem familiar to you guys? You want to know why it seems familiar to you guys? Because it's the official report for the incident number. This is his bond. This isn't fucking animated. I didn't pull this out of my ass. This is publicly available information. I just redacted shit because people be psychotic. This isn't cloak and daggers. I'm just reading what's out there. Here we have Green, Michael Robert, white, male with the year of birth, 87, defendant. And then we have Green, Michael Robert, bond entity. We have Templin Ray Douglas, which is his defense attorney. Okay. So if Michael is trying to push The fact that he got released without bond, didn't have to have a bond, or Tina is releasing this information saying nobody gets released without on their own personal recognizance. You need a bond to get out. You ain't doing your attorney any favors here by lying. And Mike, I highly suggest you talk to your people, the hosts of LCU, because the more lies they tell about the situation, the worse it looks. Then we have Green Michael Robert, bond entity. Green Michael Robert, defendant. Again, here we have Ryan Douglas, his defense attorney. Green Michael Robert White M 1987 defendant, and then we have the officer. So we come down to here 3813 domestic violence in the third degree, right? That's the charging code. That's what he was charged with. And then we have criminal/traffic rescheduled. This was on the for the 24th. So as we can see, proof positive that the 24th of this month, he is supposed to be going to court. This proves that he did in fact have it rescheduled. He was not lying about that. Fine and costs $5,237.50. That is his costs for this bond. Now, this bond here, because he was released on his own recognizance, he only has to pay it if he breaks the court conditions, which we're about to get into. And the conditions are interesting when you compare them to what Tina said. Here we go. Set date 08 April. Pitchcock, personal recognizance bond. Yeah. He was released on his personal recognizance, Tina, because it's a fucking bond type. Do not return to incident location. Do not return to victim's residence. Law enforcement required for escort for belongings, must have permission to leave the state, must appear in court as required, must have permission to leave state, must keep the peace, no contact with victim. I want you to remember how many times it says for him to not have any contact with Bridget. Do not return to the incident location. That's 1. Do not return to victim's residence. That's 2. You must keep the peace, so I'll leave that there, and no contact with victim. It says 3 times that he is not supposed to have contact with Bridget. It says he must not return to the location. He must not return to her home, which is, I believe, where it occurred. It was their home. So here we have bond type, personal recognizance, $5,237.50. Yeah, I don't know what would compel people to lie when literally it's public information. That's like going on a live stream saying some dumb shit, and then when someone shows you a video of it, or is like you trying to lie like it never fucking happened, like people didn't witness it with their own eyes. But I digress. Let's get back to some other things that she said that was pretty interesting.
Nobody, especially with all these injuries you guys are saying that took place. And it's funny you should...
Nobody said any injuries took place. We never made any accusations of injuries taking place. Not me, not you. All we've done is regurgitate the information that is on the police report. We did not say out of the fucking thin air that she was punched in the face or that she had multiple injuries. You didn't say it. I hope you didn't say it. Be a good person. Don't say that stupid shit. Just read off of what's in the damn report. But we did not say this. Bridget is the one who said it. The officer said he saw redness to one side of his face. I know on LolCow Live, they were attempting to go ahead and downplay it by saying, well, she was drinking, so obviously her face was red. It didn't say her face was red or flush. It specifically stated that only one side of her face had redness to it. I don't know about you guys, but when I drink as heavily as they are implying that they did, and as heavily as Bridget implied that they did, all the face should be red, not just one side of it, okay? This is not like she had an allergic reaction or some shit.
Say that because he came here. when he got released and she met him here and there wasn't a...
I'm sorry, Tina. What did you just say?
You should say that because he came here when he got released and she met him here and there was... Funny you should say that because he came here when he got released and she met him here.
So the same day that he's released, he breaks his no contact order condition. That's what you're telling me, Tina? Do not return to incident location. Do not return to victim's residence. No contact with the victim. Tina, do you realize that if what you're saying is true, you literally just admitted to Michael breaking a no contact condition of his bond? Meaning that if what you're saying is true, Michael, under South Carolina law, can be arrested and sentenced to jail for 30 days. And if we remember what it says here, there are no exceptions in a standard no contact order for situations involving a shared residence, which means even though they might live together, which obviously Mike is in an Airbnb right now, but Tina, stop talking. Mike, tell your people to stop talking, because eventually someone's going to say something and you might be spending more than just 30 days in fucking jail, brother. I know you're trying not to say something, even though you're sending your correspondence with your lawyer to people, which makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. If I was you, I wouldn't be trusting a goddamn person with anything, especially not somebody who's so willing to go into our comment section and state that you're sharing legal correspondence with your lawyer. Your whole hosts of friends here are running the campaign that people are just doing this because they dislike you. And if that's all that this is, don't you think it's a little risky to be sending emails between you and your lawyer to people? Just saying. Now, let's get back to the rest of what she had to say.
And there wasn't a fucking mark on her. Nothing. And I am...
Well, this happened on the 3rd. He was released, as far as I can see, as far as the report says, he most likely was released on the 8th, right here. Considering when he, I don't know when he's released, I'm going directly off of this, but considering that it was last updated on the 8th, that means that's when he got his bond, which means he was still in jail at that time. So 5 days had gone by without you seeing Bridget. Yeah, I think 5 days is more than enough time for redness on somebody's face to dissipate. That's just me, though. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below.
I'm all for the domestic violence, and y'all save that shit telling me about domestic violence. Tina, you guys didn't give a fuck when you called up the man that tried to kill me and say I was abusing my son so he could kill me for sure. Y'all didn't...
Tina, you weren't part of the LCU when any of this happened, so obviously the viewers of the LCU wouldn't have done anything because none of us were aware of it. Only the people who have followed you from the days of AGP to here at the LCU. Well, I shouldn't even say here. I fucking ain't part of that. But to there of the LCU wouldn't have known to do anything to help. So that isn't on anybody who watches it or anybody who's a part of it.
Give a fuck. So now you want me to have a bigger outlook? Let me tell you something. Bridget also went to jail in 2016 for domestic violence too. Okay?
And she was released. So by your guys' logic, you shouldn't be using that against her because no charges were pressed. So obviously Mike's innocent. No charges were pressed. So Mike is innocent. Or, well, he wasn't convicted. The charges were dropped. And considering the charges were also dropped against Bridget, that equally means that she's innocent. You see how you shouldn't have a defense that can be used against you? Sometimes it's better to just shut the fuck up. Be like Michael. I'm not saying to shoot 3-pointers. I'm saying to just shut up. You're not helping anybody here.
Hey, surprise! Y'all are not going to fucking emphasize that, though, right?
Go, Queen.
She woke up in a bad mood. So she pushed Michael. AGP went and got him, bitch. Okay? They were dismissed. No charges. Just like that night.
Oh, you mean like what's going to happen?
So what you're saying is that Michael and Bridget have a history of putting hands on each other. And then once it gets to actually having consequences for it, they both decide to say nothing happened and not press charges? Wow. It's almost like the people in the comment section saying that it's entirely possible that this happened and Bridget just doesn't want to go forward with this might have some credence to what they're saying. You gotta love it when people dig their own grave. It makes my job so much easier. I don't have to concoct some sort of 4D chess move. I don't have to do all this research and break it down. Simple Google search in your own words lands you in the grave.
In 9 days?
Yes. So, I went over there. I talked to her personally without him there. He wasn't even home. He was staying at his Airbnb. She said they got in an argument, especially because him and Becky were flirting, and there's some phone numbers came up in his phone, and she seen them, and they pushed each other. That's all it was a push here and a push there.
That would still be considered domestic violence in the 3rd degree, physical harm to any degree. I mean, we literally watched it. Is it a massive fucking domestic violence issue? No, but you know what's interesting? Tina's leaving out the part where Mike apparently got mad and started throwing shit. So now that we do have that little bit of information, it could also be the fact that they got into an argument, started pushing each other. Michael, in a fit of rage, started throwing stuff, as Bridget said on her phone call when on LolCow Live, and what he threw hit her in the face. And that's why there's redness and not bruising. You see, you guys, you're talking, you're saying things. Is it a theory? Sure. But is it a plausible theory? Y'all decide.
She wasn't running down no fucking street, you liars. I don't give a fuck what she told the police. Anyone.
So I did look back over the police report, and unfortunately, there is no legitimate pen to paper stating that she was found at Central Avenue. The closest that comes to it is them saying while en route, the victim, later identified as Bridget West, left the residence and was walking down the street towards Central Avenue. Now, this isn't stating that the officer saw her on Central Avenue. This is stating that the officer was told by dispatch that she left the residence. And as we read it, or if you're followed on our Twitter, you can go back and check it. Nowhere in here does it actually state that she was found on the cross street between Central Avenue and whatever it is. But if you listen to the phone call, it's very obvious that they're outside, and she is in an area in which her screams can echo, which just already shows you that she's outside. Obviously, your voice can echo inside of a house, but not to the level of not to the amount of reverberations that occurred during that 911 call. You can also hear the wind. You can also hear them moving. I'm not a forensic scientist or whatever the fuck it would be to, go through a phone call and break it down and tell you with some sort of scientific significance that she was running or anything of that nature. But we've all heard the call. Make your own decision on whether or not you believe she was walking away from the house.
Woman scorned is going to say what she has to say. I've never called the police, so therefore I don't know how they come for domestic violence.
Well, according to the police report, they come 7 strong. Whoa, pause. All right.
But I know that factual time, I know the facts because I was involved in it.
So, Tina is saying she was involved in it, saying she was there, okay? I'm not going to say Tina's stating that she was there when it occurred. She's saying she knows the facts because she was involved with it, the same way that Keemstar and Boogie were involved with it. Bridget and Mike told them. So obviously they know all the facts. Even though Bridget lies, apparently. And even though they have a history of putting hands on each other. Makes you think, don't it?
He did not punch her 5 times in the fucking face, you dumbasses. He would have had a bond. He would have had to get a bondsman. He would have had to put up his property.
First and foremost, he wouldn't have had to put up his property so long as he had liquidated assets, which I guess would be part of his property. But considering the boy has a lot of his money up in crypto, from what I understand, I imagine he does have the money. He does have the ability to put up a cash bond. But as we learned, there is a personal recognizance bond.
He would have put up money. He got out on his own fucking face. Because they didn't believe it either. But they're going to write.
That's definitely not true. South Carolina law, the personal recognizance is a type of bond.
Write down whatever.
And the worst part about it is the more you say it, the more confidence you have behind the lie or misinformation, the worse it is.
A woman says it's on the phone. They weren't there yet. Oh, he's beating me. Hurry up. Send the troops. Well, that's funny. They do that in here, too, on fake calls. You guys said, oh, she was screaming. She's seen lights. No, she didn't. No, she did not. And her kids were with her mother.
Her kids were with her mother. Is that true?
They weren't even home that night, you stupid fucks.
They weren't home. Okay, let's check out the police report. The police report states that the involvements, as in the people who were involved during April 3rd, we have Mia and Michael Green, the children, the kids. They are involved. If they were not at the house, there would be no reason to have their names here. The whole reason their names are here is because right here it states that they did not witness or perceive the events, which means more than likely that they were talked to by the officers. Now, I'll turn around and I will say this. It is entirely possible that the reason why they are named here as involvements is because they live at the house. It is entirely possible that is the reason why, as in they are involved in the situation because all 4 of them live at the same place. But until there's any proof that they weren't there that night, that they were supposedly with the mom, I mean, it's up to you to decide. It doesn't really make sense to say that they're involved if they weren't there. But again, it's entirely possible it's just because they live there.
That's one thing I can say about them. If they drink or they might indulge in a little puff give, they don't have their children home. That's what adults do. They don't have their kids home.
Adults also don't get into shoving matches, especially with their significant other, even if they're getting a divorce.
He had just got back from fat camp. There's a lot of problems because of fat camp. Huh, Savage? Shit. Let it go, you guys. You guys are making worse than what it has to be. Just like with this Charlie situation when he hit her. Then when this one happened and this one hit him. And then, oh, Jennifer Green, jail for domestic violence too. Oh, it's a charge. But
it's interesting that your defense is, guys, so many people around us have been charged with domestic violence, but the charges just never stick. How is that a defense? You know what? People get domestic violence charges out here all the time. Never sticks, though. They know better than to say something. Like, how is this a defense? Well, the brother got charged with domestic violence. This chick who we know got charged with domestic violence. Bridget's been charged with domestic violence. And from what I heard, this is the second time that Michael has been charged with domestic violence. I do not have evidence of that. That's just what I've heard. So I'm going to stick to the fact that this is a charge of domestic violence against him. Do you not find it weird that there's 4 people within this circle who have been charged but never convicted of domestic violence? And we're supposed to just sit here and be like, this is the 4th charge. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. This is the fourth person in that circle to get charged, but nothing happened. I mean, never allow your defense to be so flimsy that it can be used against you.
But it's dismissed. No allegate, no CPS, no nothing. All reports are closed. Not because he has money, because nothing fucking happened.
Well, him having money wouldn't even have anything to do with it because it's such a low tier case. It wouldn't really matter. I mean, imagine trying to bribe someone just to simply get out of 3 months in jail. That's insane. But at the end of the day, the fact again that so many people have been charged but not convicted within your circle of people for domestic violence is astonishing.
That's why. And if they thought something happened, the state has to pick it up. Y'all leave him alone.
The state did pick it up. That's why he was charged. The state did pick it up. He was charged by the police. They picked up the case. That's the whole reason for the court case on the 24th. This isn't the defense that you guys think that it is. The state picked up the case. That's the whole reason there's a court date. That's how it works. That is how it works. Okay, if the state hadn't picked the case up yet, he would still be waiting for a court date. That's literally how it works. Like, I don't understand how people don't understand this shit.
Y'all been calling me. You been texting Albert saying we're fucking assholes.
I absolutely disavow this. Leave these people alone. Don't go after them. Do not harass them. All you're going to do is give them firepower to turn around and say, these are all just sycophantic, troglodytes and fans and crazy stalkers and shit like that. Leave them alone.
We support domestic violence. All you're doing is leaving comments under my videos. Oh, you can't believe this. You can't believe that. The funny thing about YouTube is you believe whatever is convenient for you. When it's convenient.
I have to agree with her there. I mean, a lot of the time people just believe what video comes out next. But it's a good thing to have police report and, South Carolina legislation to back me up on everything I'm saying.
Convenient for you guys believe it. When it's not convenient for y'all don't believe it. So why don't y'all just let them work out their own situation? Michael will, and he always has, put out a video after something has taken place and been put out on the internet. And he will do the same with this one.
And I look forward to it. Boy, do I look forward to it, y'all. Because just like we have so far, we will compare and contrast and see what lines up and what doesn't.
When he gets in his own place, and guess what? If Bridget wanted him, she could have had him for everything he has. He'd walk away with 10%. She has to.
This, again, also isn't really a defense because, as everybody knows, people who are abused, and I'm not saying anything, I'm speaking in generality, people who are abused oftentimes do not go through with the charges, especially when it's only 90 days and it's against the breadwinner. Now, am I saying that's what this is? I have no clue. I don't know. All I know is what the police report says and what the legislation states.
Kids, the home, the money, everything. If he supposedly abused her like that, she'd be a fucking fool not to take it.
That's if he's convicted. And like you guys said, she only had a little redness on her face, which could be explained away by drinking. So if the people around her are so easy and able to just dismiss whatever she's saying, well, can't we just apply that to the court system as well?
Y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro.
That's ironic.
She wanted out. She had a way out. Because women are always right in South Carolina.
I got him.
You guys may have looked up a 911 operating call when people are upset, drinking, drunk, out of their fucking mind, fighting for their place in their husband's life.
If they're so drunk and out of their mind, the both of them, how is it that they both were able to have very similar, admissions? Or how is it that they were both able to say that he hit her? If you're drunk, why would you say you hit somebody? And we're going to get into Michael's supposed defense, or at least what he told Keem and Boogie. and how the body cam might actually be available here in a second. So I don't really care for the rest of this, but if you guys remember, Keemstar told LolCow Live on the camping trip the other day, or the fucking mud wrestling venture, whatever the fuck they're doing, that Mike told him that he told the police officers, just arrest me, take me to jail. I had her like 50 times, blah, 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 blah. And as I have stated, that you cannot get police body cam through the Freedom of Information Act. However, here we have South Carolina legislation on body-worn cameras. As you can see, section 23.1.2240, body-worn camera definition guidelines, policies, and procedures, fund data release. A whole lot of this we do not care about. All it states is what body cam footage is and what it's for. We want to go down here to G1. Data recorded by a body-worn camera is not public record subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. The state law enforcement division, the attorney general, and a circuit solicitor, keep that in mind, may request and must receive data recorded by a body-worn camera for any legitimate criminal justice purpose. A law enforcement agency, the state law enforcement division, the attorney general, and or a circuit solicitor may release data recorded by a body-worn camera in its discretion. A law enforcement agency may request and must receive data recorded by a body-worn camera if the recording is relevant to an internal investigation regarding misconduct or disciplinary action or a law enforcement officer. So, what have I just read to you? This states here that law enforcement, attorney general, or a circuit solicitor are able to request and have to, due to South Carolina legislation, be given body-worn camera for any legitimate criminal purpose. It also states that those same entities have the ability to release data recorded by a body-worn camera in its discretion. So the attorney general, any state law enforcement division, or a circuit solicitor has the ability to obtain the body cam footage and release it to their own discretion. Now, that means that the only real way for anybody to obtain the body cam footage is to go through a state law enforcement division, through the attorney general, or to a circuit solicitor. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying to do anything, telling anybody to do anything. I am putting this information out there. They have the ability to release it to their own discretion. And generally, the people involved in the case have the ability to ask their, whether defendant or a defense attorney or prosecutorial attorney, to request the body cam footage of that night and have it given to them. In addition to the persons who may request and must receive data recorded by a body-worn camera provided in item 2, the following are also entitled to request and receive such data pursuant to South Carolina Rules of Criminal Procedure, the South Carolina Rules of Criminal Procedure, or a court order. A person who is the subject of the recording. A criminal defendant if the recording is relevant to a pending criminal action. This states that Mike is 100% supposed to be given the body cam footage of that night if he asks under South Carolina legislation. A person who is subject of the recording. It also means that if Bridget is on the body cam footage, which obviously she has to be, she too is entitled to the body cam footage of April 3rd, 2025. This would be the easiest way for the body cam footage to be released. Y'all think that might happen? No, I don't either. But it does tell you something. If Michael wants to prove the story that he told to Keemstar is true, All he has to do is ask the court for the body cam footage of that night. The 2 officers' body cam footage of that night. And if everything he's saying is 100% true as to how he acted with the police officers, that he was flippant and sarcastic and I hit her like 50 times. If he wants to prove that story of events true, I mean, he's entitled to the recording under his state law. So make of that what you will, people. I just had to get on here because I hate when people try and piss on my boots and tell me it's raining.
Best day.